Good afternoon, my name is Nathan and I'm from the Wargammerist, and this is my 11th edition Army faction video. For this edition I'm going to be focused on Drukhari. I really enjoy the aesthetic, the lore, and unfortunately Grant got to it before I could at the end of 9th. No, jokes aside, I did have a small collection of Drukhari, Dark Elder before it was Drukhari, but I was kind of a bit intimidated by the project. The models looked too pointy, too small, and too fragile, and I kind of avoided that a little bit like the plague. Once the World Eaters came along, I jumped all over that. Still pointy, but not as fragile looking, so I was a bit overwhelmed. But as my hobby and experience has increased, I feel that it's a good project to kind of take hold of. I really, like I said, really enjoy the aesthetic, really enjoy the lore, kind of my vibe, kind of like the whole kind of pain, pleasure situation, and how they kind of just owned their shit. They don't have any kind of false profits, they don't have any kind of delusions. It's just, we know what we are, we like it, let's crack on and do what we need to do. And I kind of pretty cool vibe, and that's probably why I like the World Eaters as well. So I'm going to be focusing on Drukhari and the Cabal of my own fruition, the Cabal of the Midnight Kiss. I'm taking inspiration again from my Necromunda gang. They were all named after certain toxin and poisons based on the kind of lore around that Necromunda. And I've kind of taken that aside because I really like the lore of the Poison Tongue, Lady Malice, the logo and the kind of colour scheme with them. So I'm kind of looking to do kind of an offshot of that, where they're kind of like kind of a bit more elite than the Poison Tongue themselves, focusing on kind of blood magic and poison and toxins and stuff, again like the Poison Tongue, but just a cool colour scheme because I can and I want to. They're going to be working closely with the covens, the coven of the 12th hand or the 12th one, the red ones. I like the colour scheme in the book, the codex, and I got a lot of red paint from my World Eaters, so I thought I'd kind of transfer that. And I'm going to pretty much base my model collection around the racks and the homunculus, but they don't really have much at the moment. Currently I own the combat patrol box, which I've kind of built up, slowly painting through, and some kind of key kind of models and units that kind of have been advised by Grant, and essentially they look cool and I've always wanted them, and now that they're kind of coming through in plastic like the mandrakes, really excited to kind of get those painted up, and you can see in the slides that Grant will edit in. And the Scourges, the ones that with the bird wings and the bat wings, so I kind of got a little bit of a sub theme going on with them, where each weapon will have its own kind of wings and unit and stuff, so kind of working on that to like a bit of kit bashing. But coming back to the kind of faction kind of theme itself, the racks are going to be like the dogs' bodies, they're going to be the boots on the ground, they're going to go and collect bones, body parts and whatnot, so that we can turn them into poisons, toxins, and used against their former allies, turning bones into weapons. So with that, most of my kind of pointy, stabby weapons are going to be kind of bone. Again, taking inspiration from World Eaters and the whole kind of poison and the whole kind of torture aspect. So all of my kind of sharp, clean blades are going to be kind of based around bone and that kind of shading. So that's kind of like the racks, kind of looking at that. I've got loads of Taloses, some Kronos, because again, the kind of staples in the Drukhari army. And then with the Cabal itself, like the Calabite warriors and the vehicles and whatnot. Either kind of one or two ways. I am going to go kind of purple and kind of have a gradient of a purple, kind of working on my airbrush technique, kind of going from dark purples to light purples, kind of bringing in some highlights and whatnot, really kind of push that and take my time with it, because normally I kind of rush my models so I can just kind of get them on the table. Kind of working on my basing as well, because I kind of, at the moment, I kind of feel like it's a bit bland. Okay, I can stick some coloured tufts of grass on it, but I kind of want to build it up a bit again, because I just kind of want to get stuff built and put it on the table. But again, I'm going to come back, slow down, and kind of work on that and kind of figure out some ideas. So they're the kind of schemes. Model wise, I'm kind of happy with the models that I've got, but looking at the lore, I want to kind of look into getting a jet fighter for the Drukhari, the Cabal side. I'm hoping that the rules kind of favour flyers and aircraft a little bit, or at least they make them semi-usable, or at least an option, because that seems quite cool and it's quite thematic from the inspiration of the Poison Tongue Cabal and the Lady Malice. Sticking a couple of key epic heroes, epic characters. I might keep them to their original colour scheme. I'm not quite sure. There was a moment in time where I was looking at the Incubi and kind of making a bone armour, but I'd probably go against that. And now at the moment, I think there might be too much bone colour, and that's a lot, especially on the model. But we'll kind of see. We'll see how the vibe goes, and I'll kind of update you with screenshots and videos of what we're working on. But yeah, so that's pretty much the colour theme and kind of where I want to go with the vibe. You'll say, well, what about the witches? What about the third part of Drukhari? I do like them, they are cool, but they're not really kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. I probably will go into them. I do like the Reaver bikes. Not really kind of fan of the Green Goblin kind of aesthetic for the Hellions, but I know they've got cool rules. And I've kind of succumbed too much with Lilith. I don't put an embargo and buy on that model for the moment, because Grant used to always bring Harry and kill my master executions, and we'd have a fight first off fight. So who would get the roll off on that? So that's still a bit sore about that. But now moving forward to hopes and aspirations for 11th edition rule wise, I'm hoping that it's more narrative. Even the competitive side is more narrative, where it kind of looks at better lists, more unique lists, not every list's kind of chasing the meta, and the meta was a bit more nuanced, rather than having like 3 Mauler Fiends or Forge Fiends, whatever you want to call them, or 35 Dark Lances, or, you know, whatever the in thing is at the moment, 6 Satans, you know, whatever that is. I kind of hope that that's kind of diminished a little bit, but that's going to be ever done, ever balanced. I don't want there to be kind of like a day one patch. I think that kind of be a bit sad and a bit demoralising. Model wise and range wise, I want the grotesque to come back. And anything basically Legends in Drukhari, Tantalus, or maybe there is, looking at the lore, some kind of like Overlord Archon kind of mega ship. So that would be quite cool, even if it's bigger than a Tantalus, or merging 2 Tantaluses, the Baneblade equivalent of the Drukhari, sticking out on the table and going deal with it. But no, not chasing the meta, as I said. Just something cool and a kind of centerpiece. The Tantalus was very much a centerpiece for Drukhari, but it's kind of gone, which is a bit sad. But also for fun and kind of like theory crafting and just kind of following my own kind of thoughts, is I'd like some kind of grotesque sized abomination. I don't know, something in between the Great Unclean One and I don't know, Angron or Primarch, kind of somewhere in the size kind of comparison of that, but it's just this massive grotesque that moves very, very slow, not quite Titan size, moves very, very slow, and you just plop him on the middle and say, come at me. And it's got loads of buffs where it can just take it, but it just does nothing out, just puts nothing out, it just sits there and stays there, and you kind of have to come and deal with it. Something with a weird magical aura. As the game goes on, it gets better. So I don't know, it's still something from the Death Guard rulebook. But no, just something fun like that, some kind of big hulking grotesque where every time it kills a model, it's hard to kill a model or a unit, but once it does, it adds some kind of weird flavour to itself, like pain token wise or rule wise. A bit like the Chronos, where you can add another wound back on or regain a wound. Something like that. I don't know, you can kind of regain a kind of baby grotesque that it can kind of fling at people. I don't know, just steal everything from all the cool stuff from other codexes, like the Biovore. It can throw a grotesque or a rack at something. It absorbs and it regains wounds, and it's hard to kill like the Death Guard. I don't know, something cool and weird and ugly to stick in the middle of the board and say deal with it. Not as a big threat, nothing to matter, but just story driven, where the pain engines have just kind of quickly slapped something together to deal with a threat and stuck it in the middle. Deal with it, big pile of flesh Big kind of gelatinous blob. Deal with it. It doesn't do anything, just deal with it, because it's primary blocking, or it's taken over this building and we can't do it. Just, can't get it. But anyway, that's me waffling. That's kind of me fantasizing about a big blob in the middle of the table. But anyway, that's the gist of it. That's the 11th edition. That's my hopes, dreams and aspirations for 11th edition. My faction, the Cabal of the Midnight Kiss. I've also got stencils and things coming in the post, so I can kind of practice that with my airbrushing. Grant recently painted something using stencils, and I was like, oh, I'm going to steal that idea. Nothing like a hobby, mate, where you can steal ideas and inspiration from. So that's me signing out. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, follow our journey for 11th edition.